Yeah, good morning, everybody. Good to be home. That was a long road trip down to Texas. So, split. So nothing really wrong with splits. Wish we would have just played and made shots a little bit more at Baylor. But I like the response at TCU for sure. I thought we got past the Baylor loss fairly quickly. And then played fairly well at TCU. Started out really well there. Jayla Hemingway was really good in that second quarter to kind of give us a little bit of distance going into halftime. And then, again, we had a really dominant third quarter that kind of put that one away. But we had some goals, and we really met every one of them that we wanted to achieve before the game. I think except one, but for the most part, really met the goals that we wanted to and shared the ball, moved the ball, looked a little bit more like ourselves offensively. At Baylor, we just got a little dribble happy and just didn't share it, didn't move it. I'm sure Baylor had something to do with that for sure. But yeah, both road wins or road games that we got behind us back home now, so we get a little bit of rest and get ready for a big one on Saturday now. Crazy night in the Big 12 last night a little bit, and so we got 5 left, and we're sitting there in second place right now with the team ahead of us in the standings coming into our building. So we got a lot to be excited for and a great opportunity coming up.
I know your attention's on Oklahoma. How much have you had a chance to study them this morning, or is it still doing that now?
Yeah, still going through that process. But yeah, I have a little idea. They just played TCU the other day, so we had kind of watched them a little bit, or at least I had. But you're really focused on the other team when you're watching them, so you almost have to go back and rewatch the same game you already watched from a different perspective. But we have somewhat of a familiarity today. Of course, they played last night, and we were off yesterday, so we can practice a little bit today and start that preparation. But yeah, really, really good team that's played really well. Started off for them, and they got some really quality wins early. Took a couple lumps there in the middle, but have really bounced back, obviously, in Big 12 play. And, they're clicking right now on all cylinders. So we'll have to be dialed in defensively to try to create something or take them out of what they're good at.
She runs a unique system, and I looked at the box score. She brings her bigs off the bench. Their really good big comes off the bench, and they play basically guards and then bring the bigs in. Is that what they do?
Well, yeah, I think it's and I don't want to speak for her offense, but I think it's a motion-based offense is what she's traditionally run. And I mean, they've been great at Drake, and at the mid-major level, they're one of the most efficient offenses in the country. And she's brought that to Oklahoma, and they're doing the same thing. And so they're hard to guard because they're so versatile. So they can play inside, they can play outside, they cut, and it's just their reads are so good, and they just read off of each other, know each other's strengths, their teammates' strengths, their weaknesses, and they just do an incredible job of playing to those. And they play with such a freedom on offense that those kids play with, and they just they know the shots they're supposed to take. They play fast, so I think they're the fastest pace team in our league. So they're going to get up and down, and I wouldn't say shoot quick because they'll just take good shots. But if the good shots come early, they have no problem taking them.
So interchangeable players, ball handlers, passers, and ball movement. That's what you're going to see from them.
Yeah, no, they're high assist, high ball movement. Yeah, they can kind of put you in a blender if you're not careful and you just start chasing, a little bit because they pass so well. So, it's an elite team on both ends. They're good at, defensively as well, and they can switch and do some things to kind of create some issues. So you have to be dialed in. Same thing I said really at Baylor. If you make mistakes, these teams are good enough, to make you pay, because they have players at every position that are of quality and can do those things offensively. Just a lot of firepower.
And then Saturday, this is going to have national implications. Obviously, I think your net's up to 19 now. What are theirs? I think they jumped big after the Baylor win. So this is a big game at the Coliseum for you guys.
Yeah, big game. I mean, we're 5 games left, in Big 12 play, and we're sitting here at 21-3 and ranked, and they're ranked, and I think they've won 8. Is it 8 in a row? Maybe 9 now, whatever it is. I think it's 8 in a row. And if you got an 8-game win streak in the Big 12, then you're doing something right on both ends, and they're extremely well coached. They're playing really well. So it's we feel like we've played really well here lately too. Just didn't play well enough at the Baylor to go get that one on the road. But other than that, we feel confident, and this should be a tremendous atmosphere, I hope, and a great opportunity for the fans to come support this team that's put themselves in the position for a game like this late February.
You've got 3 in a row. This is the heart of the heat. You meet all 3 ranked teams meet your schedule, right?
Yeah, no, it's the gauntlet. It's been the gauntlet all year. This is maybe it's a little heavier now. And Kansas State just got their big kid back, and she played last night. So we'll go on the road and get them, and then we get the rematch with Baylor, the following Saturday. So yeah, 3 in a row here to go find out a little bit more about ourselves. But that we wouldn't want it any other way. And like I keep saying, we've worked really hard to put ourselves in a position to make these 3 really meaningful.
On that same note, getting this stretch right before conference tournament season, or maybe not right before, but before. Do you enjoy that, knowing that you kind of go through that once right before you might have to go through something really similar in a month?
Sure, yeah. These are the games we want to play, and they do prepare you for, Big 12 conference tournament type play, NCAA tournament type play. Baylor felt that way, and we had talked about that a little bit. Like, hey, guys, this is what an NCAA tournament game or a Big 12 tournament type game is going to feel like. And, we were fired up and probably maybe a little too fired up by the way we shot the ball, and we just didn't end up probably relaxing as much as we needed to in that game. So, but every time we go through it, I think we learn a little something about our team, and we get to go through that experience together, and we'll be better because of it.
And then back to last week, I know you probably prefer 2-0, but did it feel good to be back in Texas?
Yeah, I would have preferred to be 2-0 in Texas. That would have made the road trip even better. But yeah, you see familiar faces and family and friends, that are just scattered throughout there. Had some of the SFA people came to both games, so you got to see some of those people that meant a ton to me and my family when we were there. So my parents, my brother were at both games. Some of my college teammates and roommates were there. So yeah, just some people that you don't always get to see. That even when I was at SFA, we never played in Waco, so people that lived close never got to see some of our SFA teams play. So yeah, it felt good. We had a great support system at both games. Really good turnout.
You mentioned Wednesday's results. Obviously, the Iowa State one's the one that gets your eyes right there to beat them in double overtime, right? That's the one that kind of caught your attention?
Yeah, and I was watching my kids play, so I didn't really get to see too much of it live, but was kind of keeping tabs of it a little bit. I think we made it home in time to watch the double overtime part of that game. But yeah, just high-level basketball is what I really took from that one, as both teams played really well. Iowa State plays great at home, and found a way to win and hit some big free throws. But yeah, so, that one was interesting. Obviously, we were watching the Oklahoma-Baylor just because we played Baylor, play them again soon, and then, of course, with OU coming up, we had, eyes on that score at least. And I haven't got to really watch it or break it down yet, but we will do that here pretty soon.
Watson, she's scoring more. What's the cause? Is it something you're doing? Is it something she's doing? What's happening that's getting her more offense?
Yeah, I think just maybe more comfortable, more confident, more comfortable. We've asked her to score a little bit more all year. She had been a little reluctant to take us up on that, which I think she's just doing a little bit more. And she's just aggressive. She's been aggressive. Some of her attacks on offense have been a little bit better. She had a great drive, won a couple of them against TCU where she just caught and ripped and got to the rim and, got to the free throw line some. She needed to convert a little bit better when she gets there, which she's a good free throw shooter. So I'm not sure what's going on there at all. But yeah, just her being aggressive. She's rebounding it at a higher level too. So just playing with confidence. I've kind of challenged them. I would love to have that fourth score most nights, and if we can get 4 to double figures, that's always one of our goals. And feel pretty comfortable with Jordan, JJ, and Lauren getting there on most nights. And then who's the fourth? Can we get Kylie there, Kaya there? Jayla played really well and got to double figures the other night. And then there's like the Danelle, Tavi, Tirza now that she's back, like that group. Somebody could sneak in there and get that as well.
With those other ones, take for instance the post position. Do you look at that as a 3-person number total? So you combine those 3. If I get 10 and 10, I'd be happy with that. Is that the way you look at it?
Yeah, we certainly can. I think it depends on how the game goes and the minutes are spread out. If one person's dominating the minutes, then you don't have that opportunity nearly as much. If the minutes get spread out, which they kind of have been here lately, then yeah, you kind of lump them all in together and say what was our production at this position, and then did we get out of it what we needed to. And and that's kind of the way we are on the inside right now. It's a little matchup driven, and somebody gets the hot hand, or we needed Danelle for a certain reason, or no, this is a better matchup for Kylie, so she gets to extend her minutes. And so yeah, just always looking for that advantage, I guess, in each game. The way just with the roster that we have, kind of presents its own challenges.
Coach, you just brought up being able to learn about this team during this stretch of ranked opponents? When you are this deep into the season, what's left to learn? What's left to improve at this point?
Yeah, there's still plenty, and because we're new, I guess we're not kind of new anymore, but we're still new because we haven't gone through all of this yet and hadn't gone through it and hadn't even played every team for the first time. That's what's really weird right now about the Big 12 is that we're going through these stretches and we haven't even seen OU yet, haven't played Oklahoma State yet, hadn't even played Baylor until the other night, and so we're still seeing teams for the first time. So I think that's what we're learning is how do we match up with teams? What are we going to be about on a road game at Baylor, at TCU? These are places we haven't played collectively as a group. So we're still taking in information every time we take the floor and still trying to get some rotations. And Tears is back. She hadn't practiced much, so we're still trying to get her back in the flow just to see what that's going to look like. Danelle started to play better, so she's probably earning some more minutes. So yeah, we're still working through it. Probably like a lot of teams, but probably maybe more so for us just because of the newness.
Can you just give an assessment of Lauren at this point? I mean, we did talk about her a lot in the preseason, and it seems like she's really matched those expectations.
Yeah, she's been pretty good for us. I didn't love her at Baylor in certain areas. I thought she had opportunities just to be more aggressive at the rim, and I thought she settled there. But outside of that, that's the only thing that comes up recently that I was like, hey, just attack. She can go score, at the rim, and she can put the ball on the floor and straight line drive it. So really just challenging her to be a little more versatile, which when she does, I think she's at her best, and that was her. Well, she had 22 the other night. I don't remember who we played now, but, you saw a little bit of both of those, settled in a little bit better. But she's a phenomenal defender. She's tough. She's strong. She does so many things for us. She's versatile on the defensive end. So even if she's not scoring, there's so much value to what she does. But, yeah, she's a talented offensive player that we just need to keep her going.
And then the buzzer beaters, is that just testament to her clutch gene?
Yeah, no, she has. And almost had another one the other day and just missed it, but you feel good every time, that she lets those go. But just, I think it's a confidence that she's had, and she's done it for so long now, too. I mean, this is an older kid, a fifth-year senior, played a lot of big games and a lot of venues in the Big 12, and then went to Arizona and played in the Pac-12 in a lot of crazy, great environments. So, there's nothing that's probably no moment too big for that kid at this point.
And I'm sure you don't want to, reveal sets and stuff in those situations, but, when you have her, who obviously can hit those shots in those moments, JJ, who's a massive threat, Jordan, a bunch of people who can hit big shots, how much of a luxury is that in, clutch situations like that, end of game, stuff like that?
Yeah, well, it's an advantage because I think the defense has to guard and keep everybody honest at so many different positions. And so that's what it allows you to do is just you can go with a hot hand. If it's Jordan, we can draw some up for her. Obviously, JJ's elite in her ability to get to her spots. Lauren is a threat, so she's going to occupy a help defender at minimum, because I don't think you want to help off of that kid late, and then Kaya and Kylie or whomever's in, present some challenges as well. So, yeah, it's fun as a coach when you have options, right? You get to have some fun on the whiteboard and draw some good stuff up and see what works, and maybe some stuff doesn't, so you kind of scratch it and go back to it. But, yeah, no, it's definitely a luxury.
I know it's your coaching style, high pressure and turnovers and everything, and obviously you're looking to get better. But when you look back at games, even the day after, are there any moments still that make you say, wow, like the chemistry between Jordan and JJ on steals and long passes for layups, or Lauren hitting another buzzer beater? Do you get to have any oh, wow, that was pretty cool moments?
Maybe a play here and there, I guess. Something that happens, you're like, yes, we were getting it. We're catching on. This is what we want. And so there's moments in all of the games, I suppose. I mean, there was some in the TCU where I thought the ball movement was back, and so you're like, good. In one game, I thought it changed, and that's what we had kind of really tried to press them between Baylor and TCU, and they made the adjustment, and that's what this team has really done. They've just grown together. Yeah, there's times Jordan and JJ are playing off of each other and make a couple good moves or get their steals, and it leads to a 2-on-1, and you're like, man, those two are pretty elite in the open court, and it just kind of makes you smile. But really, for me, it's just trying to put them in those positions, as I keep saying, and just let them be the athletes that they are, and I don't need to overthink it or overcomplicate it. Is let the players be the players that they are, and my job is just to put them in that situation.
One more on Oklahoma. They've lost 6. What's happened in those 6 games that's caused them to lose?
OU?
Yeah.
No, you mean they won?
There's 18-6, so they've lost.
Oh, in the 6 games. Oh, I thought you said 6 in a row.
What have you seen in those 6 games that's given them issues?
Yeah, it was just a while. It was a while ago, and so they just look different now than they did then. They're just clicking and shooting it a little bit better, probably defending a little better as well, and just really, I think they've just settled in. And when you're probably And again, I don't know because I haven't watched them a ton early, but when you're talking about motion offense and they're working in some new players, it just takes time to pick up on it. And I've seen some film and watched them a couple times early, and what I see now is just just looks like a completely different group in the way that they're playing together and trusting each other, shooting the ball, playing with confidence. I mean, they're taking some deep threes in transition that early on I don't know that they had the faith, or confidence to take. And so now, Lexi Keys and Verholst and those kids, like, they'll let it rain, and they're shooting it at a high percentage. So they're good. They're just good all over the floor, and they space you and score in different ways, and they really do a great job of making you defend the entire floor. And that's where some teams just make you defend one side, or you're in a ball screen on the side, so you're defending a side of the ball, and they're just pretty good about making you defend both sides.
It's a lot of read and react, not a lot of set plays.
There you go, read and react. That's a lot of what they do. Yeah.
Mark, you said before, the temperament of the team really hasn't changed throughout the course of the season. They don't get too high, they don't get too low. Is there value in that at this point in the year where you're in the grind and it can start to wear on teams?
Well, I hope so. I mean, that's what we're going to hang our hat on anyway, because that's what we are and that's what we're about. But now, even after the Baylor loss, I mean, we had a good film session the next day, good by coaching metrics. Maybe the players might not call it that. But, we got to look at ourselves and really kind of evaluate ourselves. But, again, they just stayed. They didn't get too high, don't get too low. If you rip them, they still just kind of stay here. You praise them, they don't get too high. So again, I think it allows you just for things not to snowball. If you get emotional, then you're just up and down and all over the place, and one becomes two, and as you know, in this league, two can become three or four if you're not careful. And so we want to be really careful of that, especially this time of year when you've worked really hard to put yourself, in the position you're in. You want to make sure you can kind of maintain it. But yeah, if we want to do something special, we've got to maintain it and really get on a run right here through the next three for sure, and then finish it off.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, everybody.